Thank you, Ivor, for the very kind words, really. I really appreciate it. Yeah, today we're going to talk about a different topic. Scaling Tether is the title, you will see. But very, okay, just a very quick words about me, just to give a little bit of context. You know, Ivor did a great presentation already, but I've been working in the liquid space for a while. With my previous company, Vulcan Ventures, we have been investing engineering and capital in many ventures, and I've been in the first hand working with Bitcoin covenants, which is a very hot topic these days, but we have been doing this on Liquid since 3-4 years ago, so I think Liquid has also been very cutting edge on that side. I've been in projects like Liquid Taxi that allow you to pay fees on Liquid with Tether, which is the biggest friction for wallets that are using Tether. They don't want to use another token to pay for fees. Also, Fujimoni, which is this very similar to MakerDAO if you're coming from Ethereum world, in the sense that you can issue and burn, a stable coin just using over-collateralization contract. We've been also pioneering various research. For example, Banco is this protocol that allows you to do non-interactive atomic swaps without having the free option problem. So if you come from finance, you know very well how the free option problem is important. And there are many ways to fix it, but I think the beauty of Liquid being a covenants first platform is also the fact that we can experiment with what they could look like in the future in Bitcoin. Now I'm working on Arc, which is a UTXO scaling solution. So use UTXO, which means can work on Bitcoin, but can also work on Liquid, and that's why I'm here, right? So I think that will be the goal. So I wanna start to say that we know very well that so far stablecoins are undoubtedly the killer application of blockchain. Crypto, if we can say. Just last week we saw one of the biggest giant in fintech, Stripe, doing one of the biggest purchase, in the crypto space, and this I think is very, very good for the space in general, because after FTX, I think everyone, especially in the generalist venture capital world, got a little bit skeptical. I understand. But I think this is very important. Company like Stripe, going all in with stablecoin, I think this is very good for the space, for the general space. So the point is, still, most of especially Tether, let's say Tether, which is the biggest stablecoin so far, has a lot of traction, especially on Tron. But we know that Tron is, and any blockchain will always hit a technological, upper limit, upper bound, and they don't scale by nature. That's what they do. And even Liquid, even though it's UTXO based, is not EVM, is much, much better. So even now, Liquid, in my opinion, is the best solution for stablecoin already. But if, assuming we take all the Tron volume and we go Liquid, we will reach a point where even Liquid will be congested and it cannot work. So we need to scale also Liquid in a way. There are, thinking of using Lightning, but we know also Lightning as, especially when we think about merchant, has the problem of inbound liquidity, right? So, which is not something that we want to expose to end user. For example, Blockstream is working on Greenlight to solve this problem, right? And even people are using summary swap to solve also this problem. But I really think that even then, using Liquid is not the solution. We need something to scale as well, also Liquid. I think there is a huge opportunity here in Liquid. There are many protocols out there that are competing to be the Tether rails, right? There is whatever, BRC20, Runes, or RGB, Taproot Asset. They're all competing for the same, right? They're all competing to get the biggest stablecoin in the market, which is Tether. And there is already Tether on Liquid. So why we are sleeping on this? Why we are sleeping on this opportunity? There is already Tether issue there. We can already using it right now. We don't need to beg, issuer to come. And also Liquid has many, many advantages, for stable coins. Like we can reissue, we can do UTXO-based atomic swap like we saw before. So there are really a lot of opportunity. It's just for me a huge opportunity, and I'm pretty sure that we have this 1-2 year of advantage compared to any other Bitcoin UTXO related protocol that is wish to have Tether issued on. Sorry. So I wanna, of course, talk about a little bit Arc and what I'm doing now. And I don't want to be technical. I don't want to explain Arc. Otherwise, it will take an entire day or an entire session on how to understand how Arc works. But I just want to develop in you some intuition about it and some benefits that I think, like why Arc deployed on Liquid could be the perfect solution for stablecoin to scale them. And one first benefit is like users are always in control. So you don't really need to trust a friend of a friend to get out. So if you have your Tether on Liquid and then somehow you're using Arc on top of Liquid to send or receive Tether, you are sure that you can always close those Tether back and have a unilateral exit path. So I think this is the biggest important benefit that I think Arc brings to the table. And in terms of user experience, if you're already a developer that knows how UTXO works, for you, using Arc will be a breeze. It's not like an entire different concept, like, for example, payment channel, because payment channel, then you can only send or receive payments. Instead, with Arc, we have a concept called VTXO, virtual transaction output, and really, really, it feels like a normal on-chain wallet. You have a VTXO set, you do coin selection, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's also for developers, it's a good perk, the fact that they don't need to change everything. They can use their own Liquid wallet, and then to upgrade to Arc will be really a breeze. So just a little word to say how this magic works. I think like the best way to describe it is like, imagine you have like this like Arc servers that are like totally trustless server that potentially they create this pseudo chain, but instead of being a chain of blocks, is a chain of UTXOs. And in each UTXO, potentially, in theory, we can stuff many of these virtual transaction output, many of these virtual transactions. So from a blockchain perspective, we are going to consume just one output, in just one address on Liquid. Potentially, we can have 10,000 of virtual transaction stuffed in there, batch in there. So this is like the best way where I can give an intuition. If you came maybe from an Ethereum world, maybe sequencer, rollups in the rollups world are like the similar way, with the advantage that here at UTXO base, you have unilateral exit. You can always exit without trusting some weird rollup thing. So in terms of benefits, if you're thinking about stablecoin payments, of course, merchant and of course, commerce, it's the biggest use case so far, right? And of course, still, if you go back, just to go back a little bit, as you can see, true, we can stuff in a single block, in a single UTXO, we can stuff this virtual tree of transaction, but still we are limited by cooperation, by signature, and so on. So I don't think that we can go less than 5 seconds or 3 seconds. But even then, you don't have that instant NFC, Apple Pay kind of user experience. That's why I think you really need that instant transfer. I think there is one concept, we call it auto round, which is a concept where basically you only cooperate with your Arc server to simply, in a very two signature, you just send to your recipient, you can send this payment over Telegram, over any chat message. So it's more like eCash style, I will say, but this is instant. Of course, there is a little trade-off in the sense that your sender and the trusted server can potentially collude at double spend. So it's very similar to think about zero conf in the blockchain world. But I think, like the beauty of this is like, as a recipient, imagine I'm a merchant. Merchants are used to receive payments and potentially settle maybe after 3 days, right? So if I'm using Stripe, I'm not using the right amount I get from the credit card to pay my supplier. No, I have a cash flow. So I think that part where you settle when it's convenient for you, I think is still pretty good for merchant. I think the other beauty of Liquid, we have covenants, so we can do much more advanced scheme than Bitcoin, and potentially we can create some covenant bond, and having a simple covenant bond, we can basically disincentivize the server to double spend, to collude with the sender to double spend. So I think this is also another opportunity that we have here. So potentially we can have instant settlement with, game of theory, we can really incentivize the server to never double spend, even though we understand that in merchant payment provider, they have zero incentive to double spend their customer. Like that's their job. But that being said, like we want to be more cyberpunk, yes, I think in Liquid we have the opportunity to have instant settlement and to be already the solution for merchant to scale, serious volume, not like small things. So as I said, like the important part to understand is like we still retain the UTXO kind of application, which means that maybe a payment is not just a simple payment. We can do escrow, we can do multisig, we can do any other things that you can think already with a UTXO, you can potentially do it on Arc in a virtual UTXO. And this is very important because if you're building, for example, a Lightning wallet and a Bitcoin wallet, you will see the stark contrast or difference in building a Lightning wallet and building an on-chain wallet. And if you talk with all the blockchain developers out there, like for them, it's super easy. A key pair, a private key, boom, done, that's it. Instead with Lightning, you really, really need to get into it, to be really an expert, and to, or using solution like Breeze SDK that really take out the complexity out there. But important to understand that, having a VTXO, it means I can do a virtual channel, I can do virtual swap, I can do escrow, I can do multisig, so I can really retain the same infrastructure, the same tooling set that on-chain we are using on Bitcoin or Liquid, and we can also do it on the Arc layer. Another interesting point, like, okay, we are deploying an Arc, this Arc will be on Liquid, and this Arc will not have LBTC because we don't care about that, right? So we are scaling stablecoin. And the beauty of this system, by design, you will not need to pay any fees with LBTC. So I don't need to have a wallet that has liquid Bitcoin on a side just to pay the transaction fee to move Tether. And I think this has been like, even the Ethereum world in the rest of the world has been the major friction, right? So, to send Tether, I also need to buy this like unregulated security, whatever. Like, that's never been. And also, liquid Bitcoin has a federated trade-off, right? So it's a federated custodial model. And for many people, it's problematic. But what if you're just receiving a stablecoin? Your onboarding is just receiving $10 of Tether. That's it, or any other stablecoin. You don't even know that LBTC exists. I think this is a point to, selling point for the, let's say, fintech world. It's pretty big, right? Because we don't need to have the complexity of different fees and so on. And this is just by design because you're just using the shared UTXO, which will be Tether, and all the VTXO is just Tether. There is never LBTC involved, never Bitcoin. And the interesting part, I think this is just my closing provocation in the end, like everybody said, and when you go read about Arc, and I don't want to enter into that, and maybe it will be question after, and I will be glad to respond, but everybody thinks, that Arc has a huge liquidity requirement, even though I think from when it was proposed last year to now, we did incredible research and it's incredible advancement, and we are very confident that the liquidity is pretty, requirements are not that bad. But what if we are on Liquid? I am also the issuer, but I'm also the Arc server. And on Liquid, if you're technical and maybe you know very well, there is one thing called re-issuance token. The re-issuance token is a specific asset in Liquid that gives to the stablecoin issuer the capability to issue more. So in this sense, it's just accounting. Why I don't put the re-issuance token inside the Arc server, so there is need more liquidity, there is not enough real Tether, we just issue them. There will never be, let's say, more Tether issued because in the end, you always, as an Arc server, you always sweep back your Tether, so you don't need that. So I think also the other opportunity we have here is like, okay, we also fix the liquidity requirement of Arc because it's a stablecoin, I'm an issuer, I can reissue more, and the beauty of being UTXO based and the beauty of having a reissuance token to have this mechanism, not having smart contract, I think is very, very interesting. Of course, this is a provocation because we need to talk with the asset issuer to actually do this. But if I had a stablecoin, of course I'm talking about Tether because it's there is a good opportunity. But any other stablecoin issuer out there, I think it's a perfect solution for them as well for their stablecoin. Thank you.